All right, so we're going to begin solving Math Paper 2 2024. Okay, so starting with question 1, simplify 15 a squared b over 7c d squared. So without wasting much of your time, this appears to be divided by 5a3 b to the power 2 divided by 21c squared d3. So the question is saying simplify this. Okay, this is the way it's been given to us. So whenever you see division, division can be written as multiplication by exchanging these. Okay, so this same question we're going to write it on the next page. 15 a squared b over 7 c d squared. Now the division will become multiplication, and then we'll swap the denominator and the numerator on the right. So what's on the denominator? 21c squared d to the power 3 will become the numerator, and then 5a to the power 3 b to the power 2 will become the denominator. Okay, simple and straightforward. Okay, now on the next step, we're just going to expand. We have 15 a squared on top, so that's the same as a times a. There are 2, and then multiply by b, and then this is divided by 7c, so 7 times c times d squared. D squared, it means we've got 2 d's there, so d times d, and then this is multiplied by, on the other side we have 21c squared, that's 21 times c 2 times, and then d 3 times, divided by 5 multiplied by a 3 times, because it's a to the power 3, and then times b, how many times? 2 times. So at this point now what we do is we just cancel out what's common, right? What's on the top and what's on the bottom. So we'll start by observing this part. You can see that we've got 2 a's on top, and then there we've got 3 of them. So cancel 1, 2, 1, 2. What else can we cancel? That b can cancel with 1b there, and then we can compare again. C's, there's 1 there and 1 there. Okay, D's, there are 2 here, and then there are 3 there, so cancel 2. Okay, we can still divide even the numbers. 7 there, it's 1. 7 into 21 is 3 times. 5 there, it's 1. 5 into 15 is 3 times. Okay, so let's try to observe what's remaining. On top there, what we have is a 3. Okay, no letters remaining. Over on the bottom we have a 1. Everything is gone, so 3 over 1 multiplied by, there on top we've got 3, and then what else? I can say we've got 1c remaining and 1d, so that will just be 3cd, and then over there's a 1 a and b, so that is just going to be 1ab. So 1 is not shown, we'll just say a multiplied by b. Okay, and then if we simplify this, 3 times 3 will be 9 cd, and then 1 times this will just be ab. Okay, so that is our final answer. That's how you can simplify. I took a lot of time so that you can just get the basic idea there. Okay, so now we can now move confidently to the next part of the question, that is b. Now for b, what we have is a quadratic equation, right? Very basic to most of us. We're so very familiar with these questions, right? So we've been given the equation 2x squared minus x minus 2 is equal to 0. It's very important that every time you're answering a quadratic equation, ensure that it's written in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0, implying that if our question was maybe 2x squared minus x equal to 2, that would have required us to move this 2 back this side, so that it's appearing in this form now. For the sake of this question, it's already in that form, so we'll just proceed. Now, in the paper, every time they give you the equation, and this is the equation. Our x is equal to, try to remember it, try to pause the video and try to write it down to see if you're able to remember it. Well, I'm recalling it. It's negative b plus or minus, okay, the root, okay, so the root of what? So that's going to be the root of b squared minus 4ac, okay, and then this is divided by what? This to be divided by 2a. Negative b plus or minus root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. Now let's identify which one is our a in our equation. So are you able to do that? So our a is, our b is, our c is. So our a is the coefficient of x squared, that is a 2. Our b is the coefficient of x, so in that case it's what? Negative 1. Our c is a constant, in that case it's a negative 2. Do you have any issues when it comes to identifying a, b, and c? Okay, so if there are no issues, we'll just proceed and substitute now in our equation to simplify. So now notice that we have negative of b, so negative, and then open our b. So our b is negative 1, so put negative 1 plus or minus the root of b squared. What is our b? Our b is negative 1, so it will be negative 1. In the equation it beats b squared, so b to the power 2 minus 4. Our a is 2, and then multiplied by c, which is negative 2. Okay, so all this is to be divided by what? All this is to be divided by 2a. So our 2 and our a is 2. Okay, so on our next step now we can just simplify. So negative times negative 1, it's a 1, plus or minus, under our square root there, negative 1 squared is just a 1, minus 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, in fact you can multiply it. Negative 4 times 2 is negative 8 times negative 2. So we have negative 8 multiplied by negative 2. Negative times negative gives us a positive. So that would be a positive what? Remember we have negative 4 times 2. That's negative 8 multiplied by that 2. That gives us now 16, right? So we have 16. Positive 16, because negative 8 times negative 2 is a positive 16. Okay, now don't forget that that's under a square root. Okay, and then that is ought to be divided by what? 2 times 2, which is a 4. Okay, so at least we're getting somewhere. I can now remove the equation, hoping you've now familiarized yourself with it. I can equally remove this part. Okay, so now we have 1 plus or minus the root of 17. 1 plus 16 is 17 over 4. That is our value of x. So at this point, calculators are allowed in paper 2. So what is the square root of 17? Okay, so you can punch out on the calculator. So I'm getting 1. So we can get plus or minus implies there are 2 equations, so we'll separate them. One will get the positive. So 4.123105.6 You can get as many as you can. Okay, and then this is to be divided by a 4. Okay, so the value of x is equal to that, or the other way around, where you now pick a negative 1 minus 4.1231056 over 4 as well. Okay, so you can now grab your calculator, okay, and then just add this. So plus a 1 divided by a 4, so I'm getting 1.2807776. Okay, then on the other end as well, x is what? So there we are subtracting now 1 minus our root of 17, right? So negative 3.123 something divided by 4. So negative 0.7807776. Okay, now this is now where we need to pay attention to the instructions in our question. The instructions are giving your answers correct to 2 decimal places. Okay, so let's check where our decimal place is. It's at that point, so just 2 decimal places from here, 1 and 2. So that would mean we have 1.28. Okay, and then for the other end, 1 2 as well, so negative 0.78. Okay, so these are our 2 answers for the quadratic equation we're given. So just this, you get your 5 free marks. Okay.